talking about picking up people on public transport. Is that really what you're going to talk to us about?
That is what we're going to talk about. Your producer emailed me. She was trying to come up with ideas for the week. She said, what about like pickup lines or something? And I'm like, well, no, something just happened to me this week that's even more focused than that. I had an incident on the streetcar where I sort of met a woman. So then I went to Google. I thought the topic would be how to pick up women in public.
We don't want to hear about that. We want to hear about what happened on the streetcar.
Well, that's the thing, right?
So when's the wedding?
I Googled public, and then it looked like there was instead of meeting women in public, there was a specific category, meeting women on public transportation, and I didn't realize this was such a big thing that I had stumbled across, so we focused it even more.
And here we are. We're supposed to be informed, Sharon, and did we know anything about this?
I should have bought a bus pass.
I'm going to go get a metro pass
This
and
is
start
a whole
riding
thing.
around the city.
There are endless articles by men, by women. This is like a thing I did not know.
So tell us what happened.
Well, here's what happened. On Tuesday, I was riding the streetcar back from, from a commercial meeting or something, and I sat down, and I wanted to open the window beside me, so I started to push it a bit, but it was very stuck. I'm like, ugh. And I just hear this woman's voice behind me. She was sitting behind me. She just goes, "You can do it." And I was like very friendly and funny, so I'm like, okay, I don't know, and I kept pushing and pushing, and finally I did it, and I just sort of joked. It's like, oh, I just had to believe, and she's like, ha ha ha, and that was it.
That was it?
Well,
and there was a connection.
Well, there was some kind of, because she had initiated conversation, which is a very rare thing, right?
No, but Josh, seriously, that is not a pickup. You didn't pick her up.
All right, no, that's not the end of the story.
Oh, all right.
Then it becomes a Josh story.
Forward.
Yeah. Well, I sat there for 10 minutes going, I feel like I should keep talking to her, but she's behind me, so I'd have to literally turn around, and she didn't continue the conversation. So I didn't know what to do, so I sat there and I took a picture of myself, a little selfie, to see who she, because I didn't even know what she looked like. And I'm like, oh, she looks pretty cute. So I looked at my photo, but now I'm like, did she notice me taking the photo? Like, I can't tell because she was sort of covering her face in the photo. And then finally, so 10 minutes down the street, I'm like, I'll always regret this if I don't ask something or say something. And what will I tell the ladies on the radio show that I did nothing? So I finally sort of halfway turn around. I just go, so hey, were you hanging out in the beaches today? And she's like, what? And so she had to take out her headphones and go, no, had to work, unfortunately, haha. I was like, okay, that sucks. And then that was it. Because
I was going to say, then the next morning.
Yeah. and here she is. No. Because I figured, okay, at least I took an initiative there, and if she wanted to keep talking to me, she could have said, why, were you in the beaches? Or just something to follow it up. But on the other hand, I put it out on Facebook, and girls saying, well, you should have kept talking. But I think that maybe the fatal flaw there was the 10-minute wait. If I was going to keep it talking, I should have done that right after the, look, I opened the window. So anyways, where are you coming from? Because she couldn't get mad if I kept talking to her because she opened up the conversation.
Right. But you know what we have to tell you here?
Yeah.
She just wasn't that into you.
Yeah,
because the 10-minute wait would have been okay if she had been into you. But the thing is, she was just, you're trying to open a window.
So she was just being friendly.
Yeah. I mean, I would say to somebody, hey, good for you. I mean, it wouldn't be a pickup line. Where did you think that somehow this was...
Well, here's the problem, because men, anytime a woman talks to you, or is nice to you, or smiles to you, or doesn't scowl at you, you think she likes you. You're like, oh, she's hitting on me. And I understand that this is a problem for women, especially well, no, all women actually, is if you want to initiate some kind of conversation, you're dealing with the fact that now guys assume you're hitting on them. So, so that's what I did. And but why would she just talk to a stranger? I mean, the problem is I didn't even know she knew what I looked like. She saw the back of my hat, so it's like maybe she liked me or not.
Well, because she probably heard all the stories about Toronto and wanted to shoot them down.
Yeah,
we
so
are
she was
actually friendly people.
But there's got to be, I would think on public transportation, okay, it could be a great place to meet someone. Because, I mean, let's face it, it can be boring and you can strike up a conversation.
There's nothing else to do,
But you got to ride a fine line against the creepy factor, like I'm stalking you to see where you live and where you're going.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what these articles all say. Both men and women give sort of the same kind of advice. You can't stare at her first, because then she knows that you've been formulating this line. It's got to be right away that you got to say the line. And then also, if you're going to ask where they're going, you have to tell them where you're going first. You got to say, oh, I'm going to the university. Oh, and where are you going? Because that way she knows that you're not just going to say, oh, I'm going to the same place, kind of thing. And then there's all these other rules. Like if you get her number, then you have to get off the streetcar right away because you don't want to be lingering there.
Well, and if you happen to get off at the same stop, even if it is just coincidence, I mean, man.
I'm always afraid of getting off. Like, anytime I'm sort of, and I don't ever talk to women on public transit, but sometimes I'm sitting near them or something, and then in my own head I'm developing a relationship. I know she looked at me and she's probably thinking I'm a nice guy, and I'm trying to look creative, like maybe moving my hands in the air, like, oh, he must play guitar, she'd be thinking, or whatever. And then if I get off at the same stop, I'm always thinking, oh, she thinks I'm following her, so I try to not look like I'm following her, or like walk a different way, or just wait until she's gone. Like, maybe she doesn't even notice and think about these things, but I'm working it all out in my head. Because I even choose subway cars based on, oh, there's a cute girl, I might as well sit on that car rather than this car. Like, maybe something will happen.
Yeah.
So do you actually kind of cruise the public transit system?
not deliberately, but I'm starting to think I should.
I've got 3 hours. I think I'll just get on a streetcar and see what happens.
Well, that happened a couple of times. Like, I was coming home late one night a couple of years ago, and I could have just walked. I got out of the subway, and I'm only a few blocks away, but I saw this really cute girl waiting for the streetcar, so I thought, well, I might as well wait for the streetcar too. I don't know why. Like, what am I going to do in those 2 blocks? So I stand there waiting, and then I get on the streetcar, and I'm sort of sitting, down from her, behind her, so she's not even going to notice me. But I'm still looking at her going, maybe I should say something. And then I hear this voice from the front of the streetcar saying, hey, man, do you work out? I'm like, what? You got big muscles. And I'm like, no, stop talking to me. I'm like, yeah, I go to the gym. And you can see she sort of wants to look back and see. And I'm like, this could work, because now she's wondering who the guy who works out is. But now clearly I'm involved in a relationship with this guy.
And you're going for lunch.
So let me tell you, these new subway trains where you can literally see 5 miles down the track because they're open. Now, would that be intimidating to start talking to someone? Because then you're having a conversation with like 300 people.
Yeah, well, that's what these articles say too. You got to be very careful because everybody can overhear, and I think it creates a problem for weirdos like me too. Because at least with the separate cars, you happen to be in the same car, so you've got this thing. But now, if it's one long train and you want to sit next to the girl, she's like, well, there's a whole train here. Like, what are you doing here? Like, it just kind of makes it look more deliberate while you're there.
So what happens? You get on a streetcar, and there aren't too many seats, but there's one open seat next to a really cute girl. Would you make a beeline?
Well, I always avoid it because I don't want to look like I'm trying to. It's so clearly obvious. Why did you sit next to the cute girl? Like, even every time I get on a train to Ottawa or something, I'm like, oh, there's the cute girl. I got to sit here for 6 hours. Like, I should sit next to her, but then it's so obvious. So then I try to look around hoping there's no other seat that I should be in. Like, you never, if you have to sit next to her, it's great, but obviously the cute girls are going to go fast, and so sometimes I try to split it so like I'm sitting across the aisle from her so it doesn't look too obvious, but I can still kind of talk to her.
Sharon, do you think maybe he's overthinking this a
little bit.
A little bit. Like, you're
know.
attracted to everybody, Josh.
It's true. Yes, I fall in love.
Every single woman.
Yeah, when that homeless guy hit on me, that happened twice. A week later, I was sitting next to another girl, and some guy's like, hey, do you work out? Like, I've got a long YouTube video about that one.
Okay, so when you're on public transit, do you check, like, for rings and...
No, I never thought of checking for a ring. That's a good sign,
what if
right?
She's married.
I don't know. Like, I've got.
If she's married, she'd be safe. You could sit down and talk to her and not feel like.
That's true, but then
you were perceived as coming on to her.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, married women. I've got this married woman messaging him on Facebook now all the time, and I'm like, what do you want from me? So it's sometimes confusing. Are women like men, where they're just like, hey, I'm married, but hey, I don't care. I'll still fool around. But then what's the point of talking to a married woman? Yeah, maybe I'll be perceived as safe, but then what's the end goal? Like, just to be her best buddy?
See, this is the thing. Like, there has to be an end goal, right? It's all about the end goal only?
I think, well, no, I mean, I'd be happy to have new friends. So for all you women out there,
if a guy is just being nice and opens the door, there's an end goal.
Well,
so
no.
flash your 9 carats.
Yeah, no, but actually, the married girl on Facebook, I realized she can be a good wing person. She's got lots of cute friends, so I'm cool to be friends with a married woman if she's got... But no, I'm also just happy to... Because I ruin every relationship, so it's better to have just friends anyways. So I can be near the women. That's all I need. I just want to be, talking to a woman. That's all I ask.
We're trying to give you advice here. Constructive advice.
And I'm just getting upset. I think that's my whole thing. I get too worked up.
Well, you're talking about the end game, and then you're saying, but there's no point having an end game because I screw up the end game, so maybe I should have friends, so maybe I shouldn't.
Well, I mean, I've met one of the coolest girls I ever met was last year. I was riding the bus back from the airport, and I just started talking to her. I was like, oh, where are you coming from, whatever. And I told her about some radio stuff I was doing on this other show and how I was doing dirty things on that. And she was totally cool with it. And then I was like, oh, we should do, like, I don't know, meet sometime to go around TIFF and film things. She's like, cool. And she actually came for lunch with me the next week, and I couldn't believe it. She was the most beautiful girl I've ever seen.
And she said, do you work out?
No, yeah. And then, surprise, she wasn't a girl at all. No, she was. But somehow I screwed up at lunch where I talked about, I'm not looking for a relationship, but I'm really bad in relationships. She's like, I don't know what I said to mess it up.
Why did you do that?
I don't know. I can see, it's like I float outside my body going,
Josh,
don't do this.
I'm going to give you some advice from a friend of mine.
Okay.
Arlene.
Oh, Arlene.
Who says?
Is she single? No, sorry. I don't mean to. I just like her name. Yeah.
Less is best.
Just be quiet.
Well, not be quiet, but just
when in
don't
doubt,
overshare.
Yeah, that's good.
Now,
I totally got to learn
things
that.
from the bottom of your heart and what you think about relationships.
I almost dare women to like me.
No, you just,
I should stop that.
You just met her. You're just getting to know
chill.
her.
See, I was kind of getting into Josh's mind, though, when you said less is best. He goes, who's this less guy? He's not that great.
Yeah, why is less best? What does he got? He's got more hair. He's probably richer. I don't understand how girls get these guys. You see them holding hands, and you're like, how did that happen? I don't know. Maybe I was a little bit.
Well, maybe because the guy didn't tell them how they suck at relationships.
Yes, I gotta stop doing that.
That's
not helping anything. I don't know why I do that. I think it's because it's like a defense mechanism. And that way, if she breaks up with me, I can break it. I can blame it on myself or some stupidity. I don't know. Maybe I'm just afraid of love.
Josh, you know what? You should have come in this morning earlier.
We had therapists here.
We had therapists here, but serious therapists.
So now I'm just turning this into a therapy session.
I think they could help you.
Let's talk about my parents.
No, because we know how much men love therapy, right, Sharon?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what?
I've never met a man yet who admits he has a real problem.
Well, I've had some cute therapists, and then I'm always like,
Josh!
All right,
we can't refer him there. These two girls are gorgeous.
For folks that are in the area of Sirius XM radio in Toronto, if you happen to be getting on the transit system at about 15-20 minutes time,
King
and
Street
you
car.
see Josh, talk to him and be nice to him. And he's not going to complete talking to you, so don't worry about it. Just be nice to him.
No, yeah, I'm not going to stalk you. I'm busy. I'll probably, ruin the relationship before you even get off the streetcar, so it's totally cool. It's short term.
And ask him if
you
he
can
works
ruin
out.
hi, how are you?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've ruined things in an elevator. It starts off well, and by the time you're up a couple of floors, it's like, why did I say that?
Oh, dear. Well,
Yeah.
Josh Rachlis, what he said, always a pleasure and always puzzling.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you probably next week.
I'll see you on the streetcar.
Yeah. No, not me.
Sorry.
We'll be back with much more. Anne Brody, our movie maven, right after this short break on What She Said. Canada Talks 167 Sirius XM.